And on today's show, why advisors should market to C Corps and family-owned businesses. Part 4 of this week's series on business owner and executive solutions with Principal's Regional Vice President, Sherry Flint. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Backroom Technician and Innsbruck. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome to the show, Sherry.
Thank you.
Day 4, how you surviving?
I'm having a great time.
Well, you know, we're talking yesterday, we just closed the show out talking about 162 bonus, and now we're talking about SERP plans, a supplemental employer retirement plan. What's the difference between those two to kind of get me out of the gate?
You know, they're both non-qualified plans. They actually work exactly the opposite. So a bonus plan falls under Section 162. It's an after-tax solution with tax-free income. A SERP is exactly the opposite. It's a pre-tax solution with taxable income. We oftentimes use it with C Corp owners that want to lower their current tax bracket, right? They want to put away money on a pre-tax basis and lower their current tax situation.
Is contribution limit pretty big then?
It's pretty much unlimited. It's reasonable compensation is what we use as a guideline.
And is that reasonable compensation generally? I mean, this is going to be bigger than a SEP IRA contribution of like what, 52 grand? I mean, it could be really higher, right?
It can be. I think the guideline is $1 million or less under the 409A regulations.
Per person?
Per person.
Oh, wow.
And so it could be used for a business owner, or a business owner could use it to attract and retain key talent. Maybe even have, you know, without giving up ownership of the company, I can give discretionary employer contributions on behalf of a select group of individuals.
Well, if I'm getting deductible contributions, it sounds like, and especially if I probably have a lot more, the limitations aren't as bad as traditional ERISA plans, I'm looking at the possibility of actually looking at major deductions in this tax environment. Of course, it's just, especially with when you put the Obamacare layer on top for most Americans who are making $250,000, or if they're a married couple and they're doing $400,000, this is significant.
Well, and here's the challenge with deferred compensation plans. They're not currently deductible to business owners. And so what this is going to allow us to do is we're going to lower our current taxable situation. We're going to leave the money in the company till later on, and then we're going to pay it out hopefully in a lower tax bracket. So we're not getting a current deduction, but the good thing is we get the deduction when we pay it out, and hopefully we're paying out more money.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm understanding this. So at the time that I set it up, I don't get the deduction.
You do not.
But when I take it out as a comp, I'm taking constructive receipt of it, that's when the deduction happens for the corp.
Correct.
Okay, so how much time do I have to look at on most of these plans? Is this a 5-year plan? Is this a 10-year plan? What am I looking at?
Yeah, generally speaking, we're going to use insurance as the funding vehicle for these. So we want like 5 to 7 years for accumulations. But what we're looking for are C Corp owners whose personal tax bracket is higher than their corporate tax bracket, right? So if I'm in a 50% tax bracket, which many people are, maybe it makes more sense to leave my money in the C corporation, create a promise to pay myself benefits in the future, and only pay 35% tax right now. So we're looking for some tax arbitrage between the personal income tax bracket and the corporate tax bracket. And for your closely held, your key employees, you know what? They're not concerned about that tax hit. What they're looking for is a benefit that comes to them pre-tax, that grows tax deferred, that'll help them save over and above the 401k limits.
Now, have you seen C Corp owners wanting to maybe golden handcuff their employee when they're using a SERP?
Absolutely. You know what? That's a perfect use of a SERP plan. So you might have a handful of key employees that are critical to the ongoing operation of the business. I don't want to give up ownership of the company necessarily as the business owner, but I do want to do something special for you. So I can create a discretionary employer contribution using any type of metric. So I could base it on profits, based on performance, based on sales, and I can make those discretionary contributions into a plan for you, and I can actually throw a little vesting schedule on there so I can create a golden handcuff. One of the other uses that we oftentimes see is oftentimes those business owners have identified one or more key employee that they want to ultimately sell the business to. So I can use a SERP plan to help create that sinking fund. And now the sinking fund, it vests when the business owner wants to transition the business, and now they actually have they have income they can take out to make a down payment on the business. So it can be used in a lot of different ways with closely held businesses.
And we have support material, if I'm understanding, some of this is turnkey, right? Do you have complete SERP plans ready to go?
Like everything else we do, we have the team, the BOSE team, to help you design,
create proposals. BOSE is?
Business Owner and Executive Solutions team. There's a team of us sales folks that can help identify and put together proposals for prospects. We also have our advanced sales team, our attorneys and CPAs that can have with detailed conversations. We do the plan documents. We have a whole suite of current assumption insurance products we can use. And again, we do the administration complementary.
Now, when I'm putting together, when I'm trying to go, I'm always confused which way I should go. How do I know as an advisor? Should I do the SERP or should I do the 162 like we talked about yesterday?
You know what, that's a great question. We get that all the time. I get the call, I got a guy, and he wants to do this. And so, you know what, we just encourage you to call us. You know, we have some great collateral material. We have decision trees for S Corps and C Corps that walk you through the decision-making process. Do you want it pre-tax or do you want it post-tax? Do you need a current deduction? Do we have concerns about risk of creditors? We go through each of those decisions and we ultimately determine, is it a bonus or a deferred comp? But you know what, we just encourage you to call us. We have years of experience working on these types of plans, and we love to get involved in cases to help you with design and, you know, if necessary, point of sale.
Well, I like that because sometimes I'm just sitting on the fence, not knowing, should I do a SERP or 162? I can talk to somebody else that sees this in a much more objective view and is doing it every single day. I think to me that's a huge advantage to advisors. I say, oh, I don't run into these cases that much. But when you do, you want the pros with you and you want a team behind you. And to me, that's really great because I don't have to invent myself again. I already have a team that already understands this. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about estate equalization. And this is kind of one of my personal faves because I've been writing on this for about 10 years, why this works so well. When we come back, we'll talk to Sherry about how to equalize an estate when there's a lot of players, especially kids involved. It's not how much money you make for your clients, it's how much money they get to keep, especially in retirement. But retirement income could cause Social Security benefits to be taxed. One tax advantage alternative is life insurance designed as a non-modified endowment contract that can generate tax-free income without taxing Social Security benefits. These contracts offer differing funding options depending upon your client's risk tolerance. For more information on how life insurance can be part of your retirement planning, just email me at steve@downtobusiness.tv. Brought to you by Ash Brokerage, the practice enhancement company. Welcome back to our second segment. Of course, we're with Sherry Flint. Sherry, we're talking all this week about the comprehensive approach that Principal takes to business planning, which I love. Collateral material support is second to none. I've never seen any one carrier planning software ever come to this level, and the fiduciary support is amazing. Let's talk a little bit about estate equalization. I mean, I have a really great example. The daughter and father are together in the business, have been since she got out of college. She's been running the show. She's excellent. She's everything her dad poured his life into her. She is excellent. But her brother is kind of, well, let's just say he didn't do as well in life, and the estate of the full estate of mom and dad is so large, and it's mostly the business, and brother's going to get shorted. And we have to figure out a way to equalize the estate because mother doesn't want him to be shorted. He wants to be treated equally.
Right.
So how do I do that?
You know, how do you treat your kids fairly and equally, right? How do you make sure that, you know, you have one person that's been working in the business all these years, blood, sweat, equity, helping grow the business, and then you have another child that's not involved at all. And that, as you know, happens quite often. 70% of all businesses are family owned. So how do we make that happen? Insurance is often a great way to equalize the asset. So I put an example here today where we have a family-owned business. This one's a farm. You know, Principal's a Des Moines-based company. We do a lot in the agricultural space, so we do work with a lot of farms, but it could be any type of business. And in this case, we have the farm ranch assets are worth $3 million, and we have other assets that are worth $1 million. And then, you know, if we want to, this case, we have 4 children. We have 2 working in the business and 2 not working in the business. How do we equalize the estate using insurance? So you can see we simply took out a $2 million insurance policy, and that's typically on the parents. And it could be owned by an ILET, it could be owned by the parents themselves, or it could be owned by the children, the ones that are going to inherit the business, the ones that are working in the business.
And there's reasons why you might want to select an ownership issue, whether it should be in an ILET, I should have the parents own it, whether the kids should own it. There's reasons for this, right?
Absolutely. There's different reasons why you'd structure it in, you know, with different ownership. And you know what? And that's a great point is when we get into any type of advanced sales concept, you know what I rely on is our attorneys and CPAs on staff. Again, we have 12 attorneys, CPAs, and consultants on staff. They do this all day long. They've worked with thousands of businesses, farms, closely held business, where we've had these estate planning issues, these or estate equalization issues, where we need to transfer assets, and we want to be fair to all the children, but we don't necessarily want to give them all the same assets. So how do we structure it? That's what I leverage our team for. They're really good at this. But you can see at the end of the day, everything's equal. Everybody gets 25%. The question is, do you get the farm and ranch assets? Do you get existing insurance? Do you get other assets? Do you get new insurance? How do you make it equal? You know what? Oftentimes, permanent insurance is a great way to make that happen.
Well, I love what you said earlier as well. I mean, I see the equalization, I see how the death benefit performs and does this, but I think some of the detail issue is that I can go to somebody on your team and say, I'm really not sure on the ownership issue, which is the tax issue, which is my liability as an advisor issue. And I'd love to partner with people who are going to be there for me at complementary to my practice. And I say, here's the data. Should I ILET the insurance? Should I have the family owners, the patriarchs and matriarchs own it? Should I have the children own it? I need to know that and give me the mechanics of why. I think that alone is a tutorial worth talking about someday. We'll have to maybe get into that.
Absolutely. You know, these can be very complicated, you know, types of cases. And you know what? I leverage the expertise of our team. They've worked with thousands of business owners over time, and they have great insight as the best way to structure best practices. We have proposals. We have a whole suite of insurance products we can use. We have, you know, legal expertise to help design and, you know, make sure that we're putting it together correctly so that everything transfers the way we want it to.
Okay, now let's just assume for a second we've done this work. We went to our team. Our team said, oh, it should be owned by the parents. They're not past the unified credit as a collective marriage. So we're well within a game. Let's just say, I don't know if it's true. I'm just saying for our discussion. They have this all done. And they could, if they owned it themselves, they would still have access to this cash buildup if they needed for whatever emergency use. Is that not so?
They could. Absolutely. You can basically structure a plan like this any way you'd like, right? But I think the key is really doing the fact-finding, understanding the goals and objectives of the family, the players involved, who's going to be involved in the business, what liquidity needs they're going to have, and really just kind of looking at it from a comprehensive approach. And that oftentimes does take our team of experts to help pull that together.
Now, in this specific case, and the only reason I bring this up, you have four children, 2 in the business. Are they not? They're still going to get this liquidity issue from the. Are they going to get it from the business? Are they going to get it from these other assets or this death benefit? That's probably not the debate any longer. It just got split up. All assets were divided equally.
Right.
And would you say, isn't that really the end game here? I mean, this is what we're always trying to do in estate equalization, is to try to treat the siblings equally.
That's exactly right. I mean, you've sat with many families where there's a husband and wife, and they're all, you know, especially the mom, she's concerned about all her kids. She wants them all to be treated equally, right, and fairly. How do you do that when you have 2 working in the business and 2 that aren't working in the business? You know what, at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that they all get the same amount. And sometimes it makes more sense for certain folks to get the assets of the actual business, and others, you know what, we can use insurance to equalize that.
Remember, second to die is a huge play on this. If we have mom and dad that are very good health, this could be leveraged, you know, we're looking at 5 to 1, sometimes depending upon the age and their health and so forth. It's pretty good leverage. Second to die is really a great play, and there's still some great contracts out there that'll get this done for you. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or your broker-dealer compliance officer. Missed an episode? Just go out to our site at downtobusiness.ashbrokerage.com. Want to email me? steve@downtobusiness.tv. And remember, you could be wiser as an Ash Brokerage advisor. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you tomorrow.